Hi, everybody, and welcome to Thriving LDS Singles. I'm so glad you're here today. And so I'm Kay and my co-host Kim. Hi, Kim.
Hello.
And today we're interviewing Kathy Edgerton. Hi, Kathy.
Hi.
So Kathy's story is absolutely fantastic, and we are so excited to have her on. So Kathy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, let's see.
Where to start?
Yeah, where do I start? I'm 67 years old, soon going to be 68. I come from a large family. My parents had 12 children.
Yep,
Three
that's large.
That is large. And I'm the oldest of 12 children. They had 3 children that died very young, like before they were 2 years old. And so I had 6 brothers and 2 sisters. And the girls were spaced out 8 years and 16 years. So I never really had a sister to fight with. And my brothers, I never really fought with them either because I was the oldest and whatever. I just never, I was always just given responsibility and to take care of them and make sure that they didn't get in trouble.
Hang on, I was the oldest with 2 brothers and I fought with them all the time. What are you talking about?
No. No, I never had that problem with them at all. And so then when I was about, I'd say 11 years old, 11, 12 years old, my grandmother, my dad's mom, I had asked her one day, I says, how do you pray? And I really don't know. How do you pray? And she said, Kathy, just pray to our Heavenly Father or pray to God as you would talk to your dad. I go, oh, that's simple. I could do that. And so from that point on, then my Heavenly Father became my best bud, my best friend, because I would tell him about my brothers. And I would tell him how I thought things weren't fair. And I would tell him my joys and the things I'm excited about and whatever. And so he just became the person that I just became very close to. Our family had moved many times. We lived more in the city or an industrial area. So there was no kids for me to play with. And so I had a lot of time to myself. So I would just go and talk to my Heavenly Father. And that's how that relationship started. So
Did you grow up in the church?
No, my mom was a no organized church at all from Kentucky. And my dad was Catholic, but didn't go. And my grandmother who taught me this was Catholic. And so when I was about 13, we moved out to the country, and I had been going to a Catholic school for a couple of years and I loved it. And here I'm now in the public school. And I made some friends with some kids down the street, and they had a son that I really liked. And he was my first boyfriend. And they invited me to go to church. And so I went to church with them. And I went all the time. And when Sunday school would go on, they would they were crazy. They were wild. And I would just sit there like this little Catholic girl, and I would raise my hand. What about this? What about that? And the instructor was like a 19-year-old boy. And he just, Kathy, this and Kathy, that. And I go, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. And so I would go back to my Heavenly Father and say, Heavenly Father, I think we should talk to the minister, or I forgot what the Catholic minister is, the priest. We should talk to the priest, and we could tell him all the things we could do to make our religion perfect, because they got a lot of good things here. And so that went on. And finally, the dad asked me, says, Kathy, when are you going to get baptized? I'm like, what? I had no intention of being baptized. He says, well, then pray about it. And so I did. So I knelt down by my bed, and it was in the summertime, and I was looking outside. There were crickets going on and everything was dark. And I asked my Heavenly Father, is this the true church? And as soon as I had said that, this warm, glowing, tingling feeling went all down my spine and all over me. And I said, it is the true church. And so then I got baptized. And then a year later, I got my patriarchal blessing.
How old were you?
I was 13.
13.
Oh, wow.
13 and a half.
That part, but...
Yeah, I was 13 and a half. So time goes on, and then I get married, and I get sealed in the Oakland temple with my first husband. and we have 5 children. And then things happen. And while we're in that, living there, we needed to find a career. And I said, why don't you become a chiropractor? Because man, you're going there all the time. And,
It'd be a lot more cost effective.
I know, why don't you just be one? I mean, you're there all the time. And they would never invite me back to see what happened. So I had no clue what chiropractor did, other than they worked on backs and they made them better. That's all I knew. And he says, sure, Kathy, go and just go and go and check it out for me. Sure. So good old wife, Kathy, she goes and calls the school, the 2 local schools. First school doesn't answer. The second school, I'm telling him all about my husband, all of his transcripts. And he says the golden question to me. He says, Kathy, what about you? And I went, me? I was going to be a court reporter, maybe. And he goes, well, how much education do you have? I go, I have a lot behind me, but not in one particular area. He says, well, send me your transcripts. So I did. Long story short, he told me to go to the library and pick out a book that lists all the careers in the US from the median income. He said, go look at the median. And he says, go look at court reporting first, Kathy. I said, fine. And he said, now once you've done that, go look at chiropractic, then call me. So I did. And then court reporting was like, I don't know, 15,000, 20,000. It was really low for the median. And then I looked up chiropractic, it was like 89,000. I thought, whoa, my husband really needs to do that one. And so that night in bed, I talked to my husband and my first husband, and I said, oh gosh, this is what I found out. Da, 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 da. You know, I'll help you study. I'll help you do all these things, and I'll help you with your papers and whatever. And he just looked at me and he said, Kathy, I have no desire to become a chiropractor. I'm going to become a truck driver. And I go, what? And I says, well, you're kidding. He goes, no, that's what I'm going to do. I said, okay, well, then I'll do it. And he just laughed at me. And I said, no, I will. And so sure enough, I called the school back the next day and he says, Kathy, you could be here in 6 months. You just got to pick up some science. So I did. And then I went through school and I had 5 young children. The youngest was 3 and the oldest was like 8. And I remember
typical older child achiever syndrome. It sounds.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know about that. And when I went to school and I would look at the classes, you know, and I think, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm ever going to learn that. That just looks so dang on hard. And what I learned and realized really quickly was that I never looked at the whole course at one time. I only looked at what was ahead of me. You know, what am I taking today? I need to pass this. I need to get through this. And so with my Heavenly Father's help, I was able to do that. And sometimes I took my children, and I remember my 2 and 3-year-olds had sippy cups or something, and they spilt their milk, and I have the dean right there walking with me. She goes, Kathy, don't worry about it. I have 5 kids too. They went to school with me. Just look the other way. And so she was a great support. And then after that, I divorced my first husband. There were some issues there in our lives, and I needed to get away from that. And then I was single for 8 years, and I married my second husband. And he was my best buddy. He was my friend. And then he died,
Did you have any kids with him?
No, I didn't have any kids. And then he had a stroke in 2014, and then in 2017, he actually died. And he was always at the VA hospital. And so then it made me single, and which leads me to this group. First I had, someone told me about the widows and widows group. And I, oh, great. I want to date, you know, I want to find someone. I don't want to be here alone all my life. I really want companionship and intimacy and the whole part, everything. And so then I went to the widowers group, and lo and behold, you know what Kathy does? She goes and puts her profile on there, her dating profile with a good picture of her. And the women died. They were just really upset. And they quickly let me know that this was a grieving site, not a dating site. And since then, I've never been able to live that down with them. They always want to remind me that. So
We had a little bit of that. You know, we were telling you our podcast group, our Thriving LDS Singles Facebook group, just started to grow like crazy all of a sudden. And so people were putting their profiles, and the widowers were not happy.
No, they're not.
They were telling us, is this a dating site? Because I don't want to be on a dating
I know,
site.
I get that all the time. Well, you know, the thing is, what guys have told me, quite a few guys who are widowers or widowers, they have said, Kathy, all the widows want to date and remarry. They say they don't, but they all do. And I found that really kind of telling, kind of a thing.
They don't
Because
want to be alone, I think, right? I mean, they want a relationship.
no, they want to get married.
Yeah.
If you talk to them by themselves, they'll tell you that. But as a group, heck no. And so
Is that what your experience has been, Kay, too? A little bit?
No, I think there are, especially widows who have been sealed. I don't know, but yeah, it's certainly lots of people, especially as you said, because of the companionship and the loneliness and stuff. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure I want to remarry. Like,
oh, I do, but it's
but yeah, I mean that the widow is like, I'm on that group as well, and I think it, like, I've recommended it to some people and they've really appreciated it because of the support and the understanding of when you've got the death of a partner. It is really, you feel very alone,
right.
And it feels like it's a very different experience than the other people are having.
Did you have,
Yeah, Kim?
you were very close. I know Kay had a good relationship with her.
Well, with my second husband, it's a long story, short, that I didn't want to be sealed to him. He was the guy that had lied quite a bit about his age. So he ended up being 16 years older than me. And not only that, he was still married to two other wives. And so, and so I know that deception. And so when it came like, do I want to be sealed? But he was my best
big deceptions.
friend. Yeah, he was very much so. But as a best friend, he was my best friend. I mean, we got along fine. We never fought. I mean, we just got along. He just never could come straight with what he's done. And he'd been excommunicated. And each time I thought everything was on the uppity up, and only to find that there's another thing, the dark path you're gonna have to go down, Kathy, with this guy. But anyway, so I knew that I didn't want to stay sealed. Oh, I know. So I decided I wanted to date, and I wanted an eternal companion, but not this particular person. And so then I put it on my Facebook, and then the widows were appalled and the guys were excited. Oh, that's Kathy Edgington, oh, we won't get her. And then that just made them more upset. And so we didn't do very well together. But then I was talking to my brother, Steve, who lives in the Prescott Valley. And he said, Kathy, why don't you form a site just for people your age group? They have the same values, the same lifestyle. Just start a group. And I go, no way. If I start a group, I'll be like ostracized. I don't want to do that. He goes, then the next couple of weeks, he would say, Kathy, why don't you start this group? And after about a year and a half, I finally decided, okay, Steve, I'm going to do it. I need your help. I don't have no clue what to do. And he kind of led me down the path and showed me. And then being that I had this husband that was not truthful, in the beginning, I wanted to be a dating site. I really did want people who wanted to date. And I also wanted them to be checked out too. And
verify them.
I wanted them verified, yeah.
Background checks.
I wanted their bishop say that they were a good guy or a good person. And so that went on. We had 20 people, and it was mostly the widows joined, and they didn't like it because it was dating, and we're talking about dating and whatever. So that kind of went on, and then life went on. And finally, in March, I was kneeling down by my bed, and I had listened to a podcast about manifest. And to me, manifest is a form of faith. It's something you believe in. And so, and she said, manifest something that your Heavenly Father would want you to have, or what you desire, and it be the will of the Father in heaven. And you're willing to accept it if it's not something you want. And then she said,
That's the hard part.
yeah, it is hard. And then she said, but then she went on and she says, there's another part to this, is that you need to ask what you need to do. And it may not even have anything to do with what you desire. So what do? I'm a person who follows through. I knelt down before my Heavenly Father and offered my prayer and my desires. And then I prayed for XYZ or his will. And then it came to the part where I had to ask, Heavenly Father, what is it that you want me to do? And I just sat there. And I thought, well, it has to do something with my, whatever what I want, No, it did not. It was, the voice came to me very clearly and said, Kathy, you need to revamp the group. Get rid of the pre-qualifications, get rid of the dating, and concentrate on people feeling loved, accepted, and welcome. Focus on those things, Kathy. And then Heavenly Father just led me every step of the way. And I just listened to his voice, and I listened to what other people said. And that's how we got to the group. And then it started to grow like crazy. And so, yep, so that's how we got there. And then,
what's the group called?
Yeah, it was kind of cool, wasn't it? Quite a journey.
It's local to the area, or it's named local.
Well,
but you have people from everywhere.
Yeah, right? In the beginning, it was only for the, it's called LDS Singles, 60 plus in the Gilbert and Mesa Temple District. And that was a group. But then people from California, Missouri, Florida, we had people all over, a lot of California, a lot of Utah, a lot of people were asking to join. I said, sure, you can join. And then we had the people who were 55, 56 who asked to join. I said, sure. Yeah. And then pretty soon we had a large group. And then I had guys contact me and say, hey, Kathy, thank you for starting this group, because I met so many wonderful people. And I said, great, that's awesome. And what I get from the widow and widowers is, this is a dating group, and I go, well, I put this way, I hope you'll date. I really do. And I hope you'll find someone. I really do, but it's not a dating group per se. It's a group to network with other people, to network with people who have your faith, who have your lifestyle, who have your same type of goals you have, who have the same beliefs that you have. This is a group of people that are your age group in your mostly location. And I added the people from other states because you never know. Maybe you'll find someone there.
And they travel.
And they do travel.
They want to know what's going on in the area.
And Kim knows that, because Kim goes back and forth.
All the time. I do.
Well, I also did something else I tried different. I used to make my Facebook very private to my family. And I decided, the best way for someone to get to know me is to open up. So I opened up my Facebook and made it public. And then I have had guys said, Kathy, your posts are so awesome. You just sound like an amazing person. And I really want to get to know you. Will you be my friend? And so I've had quite a few guys from there asked to join, which I didn't even know that they were looking at my site. I had no clue. But so I think being single, if you would open up, I think it's opening up. It's following your heart and trusting our Heavenly Father. And at our events, sometimes we only have like 8 people come. And they say, well, there's only 8 people. And I says, yeah, there's 8 people. But guess what? You can bond with these 8 people and you can make the best friends here and have fun. Just go and have fun and bond with who comes, because they share your interests of what we're doing.
Yeah. I got to know Kathy through her Facebook group. Somebody invited me and I was like, I'm 59. Can I come? And so I reached out to her and she said, yeah, we'll let you in.
I said, you're welcome. You can join. We love to have you.
So I joined, but what I love, there's a few things I love about Kathy's group. First, she is amazing about how she plans events, you know, because there's kind of the typical events like the dances and the firesides
and
and
game night.
a game night. Yeah, those three things are
That's
like the most
it.
common
Yeah.
things, or a come follow me
Right.
thing. But or a family home evening, I guess, is the other one.
Right.
But what Kathy does,
That's pretty impressive. Like sitting here with, you know, no groups and no events and no, I was like,
Well, you
oh,
know what
that's
you need to
pretty
do
good.
now.
That.
You need to organize
Yeah.
one.
But what Kathy's group does is it's a kind of common interest. Like
Oh,
she'll
yeah.
throw out, who wants to go hiking, or who wants a movie night,
Yeah.
or who
Taco
wants-
Tuesday.
Yeah, Taco Tuesday. Or
Who
we
wants to go to
wanna-
the museum?
yeah, or we want to do a dinner group,
Or we want to do a day trip, you know, go
Yeah.
somewhere.
yeah, a date adventure. You've
Yes.
done a lot. There's one Friday or
Yeah.
Saturday. So and then it's not like this big group, which, you know, as I've shared many times on this podcast, I'm very shy and those big groups are
Mhm.
intimidating to me. But if there's 5 or 6 or 10
Oh.
people there, it's very comfortable
It is.
and easy to get to know people, and
You
I
really
think a
do
lot more
bond. You do
enjoyable.
bond,
Yeah.
and you get to know that person. Just like when we one of our first activities, we went to Mount Lemon, and I rode with Scott. And Scott had this convertible, this really cool car, and we got to know each other very well. And he was so much fun, you know.
Yeah.
And then other people got to do things, and
He's also a very good matchmaker. She'll be like,
yeah,
Tim, I met this guy. He's perfect for you. I told him to call you and gave him your number.
did he ever call?
Yeah, both of the people that you've done that with.
Did he go out?
Yeah, I've
good
done it with
job.
both of them. But
I'm proud of him. That's great.
so she's always looking out for everybody. You know, she's like, tell me about yourself, and if you do,
Well, I think
So we're going to see,
wouldn't that
so
be
there'll be
great?
there'll be no singles left in Arizona at this rate.
No,
Is that
no,
right?
there
not
wouldn't
if
be.
it's up to Kathy.
Well, you know, I think we should help each other, you know, and I think the thing of the high school, the envious, the, you know, the jealousy, I think just throw that out, you know. And if you could help
Sure.
someone, I
We
think
should-
that's what
we
we do.
should have grown out of that.
Oh,
by
yeah,
now.
we should have. You would think so. And yeah, no, we're not really a dating group. I don't force people to date or anything like that. But I do give you the opportunity to connect. So when we do pictures, like we just did an album of all the members in our group. And I said, this is for you to connect. This is to widen your social circle. This is for you to see if there's somebody in your old ward that you haven't seen in a long time because you've changed wards. Or maybe this is someone you met online, you know, that's on our site. You can say hi, you know, and here's their photo and here's their link to their Facebook. And I'm hoping people will do that. And so it's connections, it's making connections and not staying in your own little corner.
Yeah. She also is great at making people feel very welcome and like, she's like in our Facebook group, I think Kay and I have tried to do that and really made sure everyone feels welcome. But when it starts to grow fast, it's really hard to be individual. But Kathy sends an individual welcome to everyone that joins and, you know, connects it to their profile. So you can go look at them and see who it is and learn more about them.
And you know, I'm surprised how many people do welcome them, especially the women.
Yeah.
The women and some of the guys do too. Yeah, they do welcome people. And I make a point when we're in the activity that we make sure everyone is feels loved and happy and is welcome. There's so many times with all these activities we have here in Arizona that we have these little groups. And they tend to be exclusive, you know, to that little group.
I have noticed that there's like these little cliques, like in high school almost.
Well, the widow and widowers, they feel like the women need to be protected and the guys need to protect them. And why do they need protected? I have no clue because I'm a widow too, but they do feel that way. And I'm not sure. I think it might be something, they're just afraid. And I think you're afraid because you don't trust yourself. If you trust yourself, you wouldn't be afraid. There's nothing to be afraid of, you know. It's just amazing that they just have all these phobias, these fears, and they kind of live off each other and feed into each other on those things. but they tend to stay, but with that group, I must say, they are very strong here in the Phoenix, Mesa, Gilbert area, Queen Creek area. They're very strong and they do support each other and they go to events all the time. They have their own social network, but they joined our site.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I would never have even known what the widows group existed. Kay's mentioned it before, but like they stay
they do
within themselves, like, and
they
so
stay,
it is.
they stay there
Kathy's been
forever.
good about connecting them to the
Well, the thing is,
singles
I
and-
just don't understand with the widowers is that even though they get married, they say, I'm still a widower for life. I'm thinking, no, you're not. You're married now. You're not a widower. You're guys like me saying I'm single or I'm whatever. I'm married, but I'm still single. I was single at one time, but they tend to really hold on to that that mantra there, that thing.
I wonder, it's fascinating to me because I wonder if it's out of loyalty or like this fear that they're somehow disrespecting the one they loved, or what do you
I think it's a
Kay?
sense of a loyalty to them,
Yeah.
and it's almost a cultural thing with them because everyone tends to feel that way. I just see the marriages as are not making it because they're not committed to the person they're married to. There's a lot of
yes, I do struggle with that. When you remarry, then aren't you remarried? Like I struggle with that one, but I do understand if you've had a good marriage, you've been sealed, the sort of like I do feel it. I guess that's part of my sort of, I'm not sure I want to remarry because I don't know. I can't imagine what could be better than that. Like
well, there's a lot of good people out there. And even though you're sealed to someone, you can still have a happy life and a happy marriage. In fact, you don't even have to be to a member if you're already sealed, just a good guy. That's opened up. See, I got a temple divorce just recently because I was in a relationship that was hopefully going to lead into a eternal marriage, but it didn't. So for me, finding someone is very important.
Find somebody
right, because I don't want to be a ministering angel in the next life. I have no desire.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's right. No,
that's why
we're all aiming for the top. We want to be gods and goddesses, don't we? Like we know where we're going.
We don't want to be ministering to you.
No, we're gods and goddesses. Like we
My stake president confirms to me, Kathy, you will choose your person. I go, oh, great. That's great to know. He goes, it may not be in this life, but I really think it'd be this life, Kathy. But if the worst ever, Kim, it could be in the millennium, he tells me. So we just go on with our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I always say that to people. I was like, there's an awful lot of men that died at 18 in wars and things. Like there's
they're just waiting.
There's a whole lot of them.
Well, you just don't want any guy. You want a top-notch guy. And
well, I know, but out of those
you need to be top-notch yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
So you've said so many things I want to talk more about. First of all, I want to hear a little bit about how you dealt with learning how to trust, like feeling like you can invest, because clearly you don't have that block anymore of just learning how to trust somebody again, or going through that kind of betrayal's got to have a big impact on
I think that
relationships.
No, I think what helped me with the trust and the betrayal, because I went through our whole marriage, every turn we turned around. But I think with the trust there is I did the EMDR. Do you guys know what that is?
I did. You know too, don't you, Kate?
I did that, and that helped with the trauma part of it. That helped with the emotional part.
We should tell people.
Yes, we should tell people what that is, because that's Kim and I both do the EFT, which is very similar. So
a lot of similarities.
Do you want to describe it, or do you want me? Do you want to?
Yeah, it's if I may say so, rapid eye movement dysfunction or something. Was it rapid eye movement
response? Is the last?
Yeah. What's DR?
What the D is?
Dysfunction, dissociation, or desensitization, or desensitized, or something like that.
Okay,
we have to look it up. We don't know what it stands for.
Well, what it does,
anyway, that doesn't matter what it stands for.
What it does is that with that, so if you have gone through a divorce or a bad marriage, and what I would recommend to anyone,
any kind of significant
any
trauma,
significant,
really.
but if anything, so get a therapist who does EMDR. And what it is they will
Or EFT.
Yeah.
or yes, but my particular was this. And so I held something in my hand and it did a tapping, and he was a psychiatrist. And so what he did, and he was a member of the church. And so he was great. And so he would say, Kathy, think about, whatever's bothering you and think about it. And when I think about it, and as you're doing that, I think, oh, I would think all these positive solutions or all these positive are how to deal with this. And pretty soon he says, what's going to happen is that you'll have those memories, but they won't bite you. It's like,
You'll
oh
get
yeah, that happened to me. It's like I stubbed my toe and not in trauma about that, it just happened to me. And that's how I feel. And I feel like that it just took that away, took that pain away.
Yeah. Both EMDR, which stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. I looked it up. But both EMDR, EFT, and there's others. There's one that's called it's a shorter version, but but basically the using of the eyes seems to access parts of our brain and because what happens is we store the trauma or we store it with all of our senses. So our eyes, ears, nose, like all the things.
Like you're reliving it.
Yeah, because we're designed to record all that data so that we don't, protection. Yeah, it's for our protection. So we don't cause ourselves a similar problem. So then if we're in a situation that has those same kinds of things occurring, or even a smell sometimes, or something, a visual that you retained. Yeah, any of the senses, it has the ability to re-trigger some of the bad experiences. And so what those modalities do is help you to calm your nervous system and teach you that you are safe and that everything's okay while you're working through the trauma, and then you're not re-traumatized by it, or you're not re-triggered. You could actually just recall it, and your body knows, oh, it's okay, I'm safe when I'm thinking about
it. What the counselor or what this guy had told me was, Kathy, it's like you're on a train, and when you have a trauma happens to you, you never get off the train. So with EMDR, you get off the train, and so you're getting off that train. So I remember being divorced with my first husband. Oh my gosh, it was like someone validate what happened to me, but no one does, and so I wish I would have known about EMDR. I could have resolved that much earlier. I do think that with a lot of widows, or with just the singles in general, that they could deal with some psychological and some EMDR to deal with the traumas, that so they can move forward, so they can have a happy life, and they're not they don't seem to be stuck. I see a lot of people stuck.
Yeah. And that's part of what we feel too. We feel people, we encourage people to get remarried, but do your healing first.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you'll just take
the EMDR.
You'll try to resolve them in your next relationship, and then it'll just repeat itself.
So Kim and I are both coaches, and we want to help people. So anybody who wants to reach out and get that sort of help, because that's the sort of stuff we do.
Good. That's really good.
Is take away, because you like, new relationships are fantastic, but heal the old stuff first.
Oh and I've been in relationships where the guy still holds on to his ex-wife, ex-girlfriend's photos, pictures, everything's on the wall. It's from a past relationship. And, now I know that's a big red flag,
it's a big red flag.
That's a big flag here. He tracks them, like
that's gotta be, when they're tracking them. But that does have to be hard when you're talking about widowers, because typically they are still living in that home that they had together, and they still have the pictures.
Well, they just never go on.
Yeah. And to a certain extent, it's a little bit different, because it was, so I know that is hard.
I met a guy and his wife, they had a widower's potluck I went to, the last thing I went to, and they had it at their home, and they had just gotten married, not too long ago. And he was telling me, and he says, you know, I love her very much. And she was telling me, I really love him. You know, he took down all the pictures of his wife. I kept one out, so at least I have one picture of her, and I keep my picture of my husband. But he went and this home they lived with his wife says, we're selling this, and we're building a new house. And he goes, and there is no prenuptial with this. You know, I'm not a big favor of prenuptial because it's the type of relationship I want to have. I'm not a widower who wants to stay or is not steal to anybody. So I want someone that's eternal and
Fully
for me,
committed.
fully committed, but also trust me that knows that this is going to be an eternal relationship. So why would you want to put that on me, or why would I want to put it on you? So that's my point. But if you're a widow and you have kids and you really, this person is going to be for life, you may not think twice, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's appealing. For me, it's a different type of relationship. I'm like starting over from the beginning. But
although we did see that with President Nelson did give us that example of, you know, when he married Wendy, he bought a new house. Like they went and bought a house together.
we should put that on there.
Yeah, I do.
And I think
is
that's
probably
a
the
good example.
The healthiest way. I do think that is the healthiest way. Like, okay, it's time to start our new life together.
A new life, and the other person's dead and you had that in your life and they're gone. And now you have this person. So love this person, you know, and if you're going to be still to that person, my gosh, you love them just as much as you loved your first wife.
I think we see that with President Nelson, don't we? I mean,
Yes.
he talks about his first wife and he talks about how much he loves her. And then he will immediately talk about his new wife and talk about how much he loves her. So
well, I see so much of the widows where they're so concentrated on the old spouse, you know, it's like they're just, that's all they want to talk about. You know, go on a date with a guy and all he wants to talk about is his ex or his, or it could be his ex-wife, but usually when it's a widower, so is widow. You know, it's like, you know, that they're not ready to move on because that's all they can think of. They don't see life going on, and yet they don't even realize they're doing it.
Yeah.
So, because I'm not really interested in widowers anyway. I'd want my own person. I don't want to, you know, that's how I feel. But so the women who are the widows have nothing to fear from me.
that is definitely one of the issues in the church too, is that if a man's sealed to a woman, then you know that you're going to be the second wife. And
yes.
It's like,
who wants to be the second wife? Yeah, I know. It's like, it's like,
so there's
like polygamy, but the guys swear to me it's not like polygamy. Go, really? Or that you will not want to have sex anyway because you're going to be so celestial. And I'm thinking, what the heck? I think it should be more awesome than that, more better than it was here in this life.
We do have, they promise we'll have a physical body.
I know, but I've had guys tell me, oh, Kathy, you'll be such a celestial being that it won't really mean anything. I thought, really? I was hoping it would be even so much more. Yes.
Well, we're going to have.
Why could we not dream?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we have no idea.
I didn't want to say anything.
But we are going to have
uncharted territory.
There's millions of spirit children to conceive, so it's
you're right, and you don't need two wives. You know, I mean, just one wife would do it.
Anyway, so we obviously don't know the answer to that question.
We surely don't.
But that is certainly.
But we can dream.
We get the eyes anyway.
But yeah, you guys, there's plenty of divorced guys out there, so it's
there is.
Not like that field is empty or anything. That's
Oh yeah.
So another thing that I really like and you post about this is you talk about the manifesting, and you go to classes and
yes, I do
things. But when we were interviewing Oak and Shauna, who are just getting married, I think they should be married now. We'll have to follow up and see how things are going in a year or so. But they Shauna talked about how she wrote this 4-page thing because she remembered, and I thought this was such a beautiful point that I was like, oh yeah, that's why this is such an important concept about how important it is that we create things spiritually. Like God created things spiritually before he made the earth, he created it spiritually. And I love that thought. And I think that's a great tie to manifesting and like creating things spiritually before they develop physically. And I think that's a beautiful spiritual concept.
What the classes I'm taking from is called Mind Valley. you pay like 30 or $70 or whatever a year, and you can take all these classes.
Yeah.
And
I have that too. I'm
you have my,
affiliated with them
I love
too,
that.
yeah.
And so what you do is, one of the class I took was called Quantum Love. And people go, Quantum Love, what is that? Well, it was really great because what I learned in that class is that all emotions have a vibration or have an energy to them. And guess what is the lowest? You know what the lowest
I was gonna say,
frequency was? Energy? It's grief. Grief
is it grief?
It's
Is the
grief. It's the
lowest.
very
That makes
lowest.
sense.
And bliss is the highest that you could ever have. And so what you do is you look at your relationship, you look at your past relationships, and you look at the relationship you had the worst feeling. You know, was it grief? Was it anger? You know, what it was?
Resentment.
Resentment.
Big on
Yeah,
one.
each one of those. or was it bliss, or was it joy or happiness? And so then you've got a scale there. You've got a high and a low. Well, you put your right in the center there, and that's your tipping point. That's the point. When you know that you're feeling that, you're going down into more of an ego downhill point. And so you want to be changing that. So you want to take evaluation of where you're thinking, where's your mood, what are you feeling? Because that's where you're going down. And so when you look at
your goals to stay less in ego,
well, you just want
and
your
more in
emotions to be
spiritual.
not spiritual,
Or-
joy, happiness, bliss, you know, and you know, all those emotions there. If you want to be into more of a celestial or more of a blissful life, you know, the ultimate, then you need to keep your emotions. Where's your emotions? That's what's triggering what you bring into your life. And so I truly believe that is that we bring what we're experiencing right now into our lives. So if we in our mind constantly think that I will never get married, or all people are bad or whatever, you bring those people into your life.
You
And
attract
so
that.
you attract that because that's what you're telling your mind. That's what you're doing. So with manifesting, you're changing that. So you're changing, what is it you want? What is it you desire that you're asking our Heavenly Father for? For us, it would be our Heavenly Father. And so you go and you pray, you fast, you check your mindset through the day, put a little clock on your phone, you know, every hour, every 2 hours, what am I thinking? What's my mindset? Am I going down this negative path? I need to change something here. And so you do that. And I found that was great. The other thing I found was another class, trying to think what the name of this class was.
It was on relationships too, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
I've been
manifesting.
There's manifesting. I'm taking one now. It's calling in the one. And then she talked about, what are your needs? You know, what do you need? I thought, I remember when I was engaged, I didn't know, like, what are your needs? I feel like, you know, even though I've been, you know, wanting to date, I had no clue. And she says, well, could it be that you want someone who keeps their word? Oh yeah, that's a good one. What is your need is that when you do something wrong, they still love you and they don't want you to be perfect. You know, you don't have to be perfect. They can still love you when you do something wrong. Well, it's a good one. And another one.
I can imagine for you, someone that you can trust their word would be a very big.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that to me would be trust. That would be keeping your word. The other one, and also this kind of fits it with trust also, is that do you, when you're having, you know, all relationships have disagreements and there's going to be conflicts. Just realize that that's healthy. That's just how it goes. But with that, when you do have a conflict, do they just go and run away or do they try to resolve it? Do they stick it out? Or they are a person who's like, oh, we had this conflict, it's over, you know, like that. Or they're a person who's going to be there and to work it out. And when they do something wrong or betray you or something, do they try to make amends? You know, there were some others, but I thought, yes, those are my needs. Those are things that are important to me. And so those things are important.
That's good.
Fantastic. So you're doing the list. What I was talking about the other week was where we have a list. We have this plan of what this guy is going to look like.
And yours it doesn't strike me as like kind of a checklist, but more
Yeah.
of a really consider or think about what are the things I desire? What does a relationship look like? And how do I want it to?
How do I want to feel in this relationship
Yeah,
is the
that's
best
good.
word.
That's
How
good.
do I want to feel? Do I want to feel like the person that is just tag along, or am I the person just in the way? Am I the person that, just taken for granted, or do you really love me? I mean, are you there? Are you in for the long haul? Are you there for the long term, or are you just here for whatever reason? Yeah, it's just, yeah, I look at that. And also, I have the spiritual gift of discernment that I've had, and it's come to me many times. And again, my stake president gave me a blessing. He used to be my ministering family, but I still go to him for blessings. He gave me a blessing, says, Kathy, that I would choose the person I would marry, and that I would have discernment when they're lying to me, when anyone's lying to me, or when they're telling me the truth. And that's kind of true. If you stay close to spirit, you can have that, and he'll actually come out and just tell you. He'll just like, I've had it where someone lied, and it wasn't a dating situation. It was when I was married. It wasn't even my husband, it was somebody else, but it was something very important I needed to know. And it said, Kathy, that they're lying. I looked up and I thought, you're lying to me. I don't know why you're lying to me, but I got to change this diaper. And so I just kind of put it away. And then it came the next couple of days that it came through where I realized that. So I think it's using discernment. I think it's, I do not believe it's like, oh, I'll sit on my laurels and Heavenly Father is going to bring him to me, and if he kneels down and he asks me to marry him, then, hey, that's the guy, I'm going to do it. I don't think it's that way. I think
they don't just drop down in front of you.
Oh, they don't. Yeah, Heavenly Father's just not going to, And I think the person that you're wanting in your life, that you need to be that person. If you want someone who's athletic and who's in good shape, well, guess what? You got to get out of bed and go to Pilates like I do. And you want to learn about relationships, things I've learned. The person I was 10 months ago is totally different. The things I can apply. And I try to teach our group that. I put those lessons on there. No one ever responds on them, but usually the women will come to me privately and they'll say, Kathy, I really enjoyed those. I really like those. Like, oh, thank you. That's it.
Because I think that's the important bit. Like, we can have our dream list, but we have to be that sort of person too.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if you want someone who's highly spiritual and goes to temple every week and you want to go on a mission with them, then you better be doing that stuff too. Like,
or if you don't want to do that, you be I don't want the fanatical type of guy. I want a normal, guy that loves the things. He doesn't have to go to every single activity or whatever, but he's a guy that just knows what he wants, and someone more professional. I'm not looking for the factory worker. I find a lot of the men in the church have not utilized their opportunity to go get the education. And to me, that's important.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up because we kind of connected on that because we both
have our doctorate.
Yeah, have our doctorate, and
it's really hard to go with somebody.
But,
yeah, I mean,
although I would say I'm not as much that way. Like I think there's a lot of people that don't have formal education. I think they just have to be a learner, that they have a desire to really.
Well, isn't it more that you're intellectually
grow?
Yes, they're intellectual. You have intellectual conversations.
Yeah,
like I've dated a guy where
a requirement. I need to be challenged.
I mean, well, just life. I don't know. I dated a guy who would not wear his hearing aids. And so I could never have a conversation with him. It was like, how the heck? I told him I've never had a really intelligent conversation with you because he can never hear. And it was like, oh, this is be miserable, And
if he's not doing that on a date, then you know what marriage is going to be like. Yeah.
Or the fanatical guy who only wants to talk about church. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's okay, but I want balance in my life. And so I think you're just looking for someone that you feel great with and that you can love and actually will love you back. I think that would be awesome. To me, that would be awesome.
That'd be awesome. Well, Kathy, we've really enjoyed talking with you today, and I can really feel
so frank.
Yeah, so frank. We like that.
Yeah.
And I can feel your spirit even from the other side of the world. So it's fantastic. I can feel, darn, I want to come to your activities.
Oh, well, great.
We
We'd
would
welcome
love
you
it.
with warm arms,
Yeah.
open arms. We'll try to match you up with somebody.
Yep. It's just that it's
Or
the
not, you
24
can sit
hour.
there with the widows and you can sit there.
I do not want to
on.
sit with I don't want to sit with the widows and feel sad and depressed. That's definitely
Oh,
not what I
yes.
want. I
Yeah.
knew that from day one. Like I remember going to the counselor and saying, I want to live, you know, I want to live.
Yes. I think they need to learn that lesson, because some of them grieve 10 years after a spouse.
Yeah.
They're still grieving. It's like you need some medication, need some help, because healthily, you know, the health wise, you're really going downhill. It's
You're
not
really
healthy
going
for you.
Yeah, no,
And we
I want to
talked about that. Like, there's a reason you're still here.
Mhm.
So
find it.
go look for it or seek that out.
Or just ask our Heavenly Father what you can do, you know, like I
Yeah.
did with the group, and what Heavenly Father wants you to do. And
Mm.
I really feel the group has grown and developed the way Heavenly Father wanted it, because I really followed his direction, and I concentrated on the things he said, and then I listened to what people had to say. We'll try it. Let's go for it. And we have, and I hope that other people will want to join us. And to the widows and widowers, I do love you. I do think you're a wonderful group. And I also think that you have a good connection. I wish they had that for the divorcees, that they had their own network, that they have. But I do love them, and it's just been my experience. But they did let me in the group, so that's good. And I appreciate, and I will post
And
my
they joined.
profile.
And they join your group too.
Yes, they
And
do join my.
They come to activities.
Yes, they do.
and-
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They
Well,
do.
that's fantastic. Well, I actually hope that this inspires people from other areas of the world, the country, to start up the same sort of thing, because you know, we hear so many people saying they're lonely, they wish there was things to do, they wish there was people who understood their position, you know, and their and so
Just
contact
start, like
Kathy if you'd like to
did.
start something like this and get
Well,
it
they
moving
depend
in
on
your
the
area.
church to do everything. They depend on the
Yeah.
church to spiritually feed them,
direction.
to give them directions. They don't think for themselves, and they won't even do other activities. They won't go out of their comfort zone. I think that's the big thing, is going out of your comfort zone. And I definitely have gone out of my comfort zone and shared things. So
well, that was what. So then my trip to this my camping trip was a group of singles, LDS singles, and it was way out of my comfort zone. To 4-wheel drive over sand islands.
She needs a chiropractor.
Yeah, you need.
I definitely could do with a chiropractor. Yes. So we really appreciate having you on today. Thank you so much. And
it was great.
Yeah, good luck with the group growing and having fun together. And I hope it inspires everybody. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And thank you everybody for being with us. Bye.
Bye.